Hello there. Today I'd like you to join me on a one-day epic adventure to the Path of the Gods. This spectacular scenic hike provides stunning views of the Amalfi Coast, ending in the beautiful city of Positano. But before we could see any of that, we have to get to Pomerano, where the hike begins. Now, if you ever decide to hike the Path of the Gods, please learn from my mistakes and make sure you have a solid plan of how to get there. If you can take a tour or hire a guide or buy your bus tickets beforehand, do that. It's not the easiest process to figure out unless you speak some decent Italian. In fact, it was so stressful that I didn't even film the process of getting there. I was just too stressed and anxious trying to figure out where we were supposed to go. To start off, we knew that we needed to get to the city of Pomerano. A couple articles said take a bus up there. We did some other Google mapping to figure out exactly where we needed to be, and we were incorrect. There was no bus station in sight, no bus counter to buy tickets from, so we were at a loss on this one. Now, a bit more Googling around told us that some tobacco shops might have bus tickets that you could buy from them. So I made my way into one and tried to have a broken Italian conversation with the man behind the counter.
Biglietto dell'autobus.
Biglietto dell'autobus, which is just bus ticket. Perfect. What could go wrong? He gave me a vague gesture and point towards a nondescript location, and I, grazie, walked my way out the door towards where I thought he was pointing, and I found nothing. So a bit more walking around, and I found two older Italian women enjoying their morning espresso at an outdoor cafe. So I tried again.
Biglietto dell'autobus.
Biglietto dell'autobus. Apparently my Italian was better than I thought, because one of the women decided to just start spouting off a string of Italian at me, assuming that I understood every word she was saying.
Certo, giovanotto, basta andare alla fine della strada.
Thankfully, at that moment, the other woman took notice of the horrified and confused look on my face. What? She stepped in, stopped her friend from continuing, and said a little string of Italian that I didn't really understand.
Non preoccuparti di questa turista idiota.
I'm pretty sure she called me handsome. Now, she pointed me in the direction where I needed to go with a little bit of broken English.
Go to the end of the street.
So this time, I felt a little bit more confident. We walked in that direction, and again, found nothing. We're feeling anxious. I pulled out Google Maps again, trying to find this hidden bus stop. I could not find it. I found another little cafe, and at this point I was like, okay, well, maybe third time's the charm. I let myself in. Biglietto dell'autobus. Finally, somebody was like, oh yeah, you could buy a ticket here. And thankfully, the very kind Italian cafe worker walked with us out the door, down the block a little bit, and pointed directly at the awning of where the bus stop was. It was a pretty small little awning with not very good signage to tell us that any bus was going to show up, but it was about 20-ish minutes or so before the bus should arrive, so we figured we would just wait. A couple other tourists walked by, and they were also headed towards the Path of the Gods, and they spoke a little bit of English, which gave us some hope. But then they walked down a bit farther, and that confused us and gave us a little bit more anxiety. At this point, several minutes have passed. There's no bus in sight, and there was an older taxi driver there. He did speak a little bit of English, so we were like, oh, okay, good. He told us the unfortunate news that there would be no bus coming. Apparently, on that day, there wasn't supposed to be a bus scheduled. We were pretty upset and determined to get to the Path of the Gods because we were only going to be in this town for one more day until we needed to move on to our next location. We considered hiring him to take us up to the city where we needed to be, and he said that it was going to be about a half an hour drive and probably end up being about 50 euro each. And to us, that seemed perfectly reasonable. I was like, okay, well, I guess that's how much it costs to go up these windy mountain roads. But we weren't certain, so we decided we should just walk away for a minute. We were both just pretty upset and frustrated, and it had been a long morning already, just trying to get to this bus stop. We were just a few minutes away from when the bus was supposed to leave, so we figured we would wait, and if no bus showed up, then we could hire the taxi driver to take us up to where we needed to be. Sure enough, about 2 minutes before the bus was scheduled to leave, A bus rolls up, and the taxi driver drives off. So let that be a bit of a lesson that when you travel, not everyone is honest and has good intentions. This probably wasn't his first time wanting to take advantage of anxious tourists who seemed lost. So finally, we were on the bus. After half an hour of riding on a bus through the windy, curvy mountainside, we finally found ourselves being forced out of the bus in a different town that wasn't Pomerano. What we realized was that this was the end of the bus route for that bus, and we had to buy another ticket for the bus that would take us up to Pomerano. Now, thankfully, there was a store nearby, and we were able to find a ticket pretty quickly in this town. It was a cute little town. We weren't there for very long. It was nice to just see a cute little rural Italian town, and I don't even know the name of it. When the bus showed up, it looked like we weren't even going to be able to get on it. There were so many other people waiting to get on this specific bus, and it was crowding and everyone was jamming into it. It looked like we might not even have a seat. We were still able to get onto the bus, and we were right at the front of the bus, standing there with a crowd of people behind us. Mind you, being in that position did allow me to get some pretty cool views out the windshield as we drove through this cool little Italian town. So thankfully, after a long, confusing morning of not knowing exactly where we were and not knowing which bus to take, we found ourselves in Pomerano. We helped ourselves to a little snack and some coffee at a cafe and found some clear signs pointing us towards the beginning of our trek to the path of the gods. At the beginning of the hike, it feels fairly residential. There's some farmlands and terraced hilltops with all kinds of crops and scenery around. You might even in that moment forget that you're on the coast of Italy. But as we move farther along the trail, it becomes more layered. Hills and terraces and steps and rocks all greet you as you start moving your way through this amazing, beautiful scenery. The Path of the Gods, or Il Sentiero degli Dei, is roughly 7 kilometers and known for its stunning views of the Amalfi Coast. But beyond the sweeping hills and the wild flowers and the epic views of the sea, you'll also pass through the Grotto del Biscotto, where abandoned centuries-old stone houses sit embedded into the cliff, and where Becky and Stacy decided to leave their mark on history. Damn it, Becky, what? Come on. Thankfully, the scent of thyme, laurel, and rosemary waft around, transporting you to an almost fairy tale world that video and photos don't seem to do justice. The path was carved out by Greek settlers in the 8th century BC and later used by those living in secluded monasteries. It was given its namesake by Italian historian and politician Giustino Fortunato in the mid-1800s. It stems from the gorgeous views of the sparkling waters and the barely visible island of Capri in the distance. Deeper into the naturally shaded parts of the path, we found an area where some people decided to leave their mark on history by making small, balanced rock towers. There were hundreds of these balanced stones, just forming small pillars all throughout the area. So, of course, we had to add ours to the collection. The views were incredible the entire time. Being able to see the blue waters and the green mountains, it was just stunning. Looking back on it, it feels like a dream. After about 5 hours, we finally caught glimpses of civilization again as we headed towards the small town of Nocelle. From there, we saw the ocean through natural windows of trees and shrubs, and we even found a few moments to make some wishes along the way. Now, from Nocelle down to Positano, we had to walk down all of the stairs. And at this point, let's let 2018 Danjo tell you about it.
Literally the most stairs ever. Oh my god. Oh, my legs are shaking. Ooh. Oh my god, okay. We can do it. I feel like it's not that much farther. Oh god.
So many stairs. We were exhausted. By the end of this hike, we were so drained. We finally made our way down all the stairs. We got to a road, and at this point we felt a little bit of relief just that at least there were no more stairs. But on this road, there was no sidewalk. It was pretty dangerous. There was a lot of cars and motorcycles and scooters just whipping past us. But the views from this road were also incredible. It was amazing. The whole time we were looking at it just going like, this is ridiculous. We finally made our way into Positano, and again, this city was just incredible. When you imagine the coastal cities of Italy, Positano is like a postcard describing it. All the colored houses and buildings just like stacking up the side of the mountain and then falling into the beach. There's just crystal clear waters. It was just beautiful. We knew we needed to get a ferry out of Positano back to Sorrento, where we would get a train off to our Airbnb. What we didn't realize was that as soon as we got there, the very last ferry of the day was already boarded, ready to leave. We ran up to the ticket counter and spoke with the lady. Thankfully, she spoke a little bit of English. She just kind of looked at us and she goes, "Just the two of you? Come with me." She walked us down to the ferry, and it seemed like they were moments away from pulling away from the dock. She had a quick conversation with the captain, who graciously was willing to let us board the very crowded ferry. It was so crowded, in fact, that the only place for us to sit was in the cockpit with the captain, which was awesome. Yeah, I know, ridiculous. Our string of luck was incredible in this moment. I was so grateful because we were also able to get some incredible views of the Amalfi Coast. Damn, the views from the sea as we moved around the coast were just as beautiful as the ones that we saw on the hike. It was amazing. 40 minutes of stunning ferry views later, we found ourselves pulling into port at Sorrento, a very cool walled city that gave off some serious Game of Thrones vibes. Once we disembarked, we followed signs to the elevator because we were exhausted and I did not want to take any more stairs at that point. We queued up for a while, paid our ticket, and jammed into this very tightly packed elevator to take us up to the street level, and I'm so glad that we did. Now, the street itself was so cool. It was so interesting to see all the Italian cars and the scenery. This town was beautiful. At this point, it was time for dinner. We were both pretty hungry, so of course, we figured we'd get some pizza to end out the night. From Sorrento, we caught a quick local train back to Castellammare di Stabia, where our Airbnb waited for us after just one more set of stairs, and we were finally able to rest. Whew! That was one day. What an adventure that was, and a memory I will never forget. So even with all the craziness and the getting lost and the hike and the hellish stairs, it was absolutely worth it. And if you ever find yourself in a position to hike the Path of the Gods, do it. You won't regret it. I can't hype up this hike enough. It is probably one of the most stunning, amazing hikes I've ever done. If you have any questions about our trip to the Path of the Gods, then reach out to me on any of the socials at HeyDanjo. Now quick, do me a favor. Slap that like, follow, subscribe, and share button right in the face. They deserve it. Do it. Look at them. Look at how slappable they are. Just slap them right in the face. Now, I know the world is crazy right now and none of us are really traveling, so I appreciate you taking the time to virtually travel with me through one of my favorite places and one of my fondest memories. I wish for nothing but health and safety for you and your loved ones in this very wild time, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that may be. Okay, love you, bye! I really hope you're in focus. This is the thing that I hope is in focus today. Yeah, so Italy. Next video that I try to do will probably be somewhere in Italy because I'm going through this footage from 3 years ago and I feel like it's time. Heather, you look good. You look good too. How's this look? This is pretty. This is nice. I like these colors. This is good. How's the lighting? Put it in the comments. This is just nonsense at this point. I don't know why I'm still talking. I think this might actually be a good video. Let's see if I can edit it. This is... Okay. Alright, we're done.
Caffè molto bene.